We have no issue with Alberta continuing to subsidize smaller provinces with their needs, but there is no excuse.
Canada is in crisis as Western premiers unite to send Ottawa a final warning. The ongoing battle between Ottawa and the Western premiers may just be catastrophic for Canada. Just how far is Ottawa planning to go? Can they survive the storm that is brewing? Federal Justice Minister David Lametti set off a firestorm among conservative Western premiers when he spoke at an Assembly of First Nations meeting last week in Ottawa. But what really could he have said that could warrant such drastic actions from the Western premiers? Ottawa, being the capital of Canada and the central location for all decision-making, has recently become the target of intense criticism, and the tension keeps growing with the Western premiers geared to take a stand against what they believe to be Ottawa's injustice and biased ways of funds allocation. But how did they get here? It's simple. It seems the Western premiers have had enough of Ottawa's disregard for fairness. In a recent development, an explosive shift has just happened in Canadian politics, the implications of which could fundamentally change the nation's future. Alberta, British Columbia, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba provinces, which are the Western strongholds and have long harbored grievances of neglect and perceived betrayal by the federal government in Ottawa, have finally made a bold move. Through a series of confidential deliberations, these 4 provinces have formally declared a significant new alliance. This unprecedented coalition has the potential to trigger a profound reshaping of Canada's political structure, and the announcement of this alliance has sent shockwaves through even the most seasoned political analyst. This development is beyond your average interprovincial disagreements, and it is coming at a particularly precarious juncture for Ottawa. This newly formed alliance has issued a clear demand for immediate and fundamental reforms to the structure of Canadian governance. Amid heightened national tensions across various fronts, the Western provinces have been engaged in a deliberate and increasingly consolidated alignment. Credible sources indicated a sustained period of covert coordination spanning several months, leading to today's public declaration. Informed observers suggest that this action represents a significant departure from mere political maneuvering, hinting at a more profound and consequential intent. These issues did not just begin today, but have been brewing underneath for a while now. The Western premiers believed Ottawa to be extremely biased in its dealings, especially when it comes to fund allocation. They claimed that Ottawa and Quebec get higher priority in funds allocation than the West. BC Premier David Eby has urged the federal government to treat all provinces fairly amid growing talk of Western Canada's separation. His message is clear. Ottawa's uneven distribution of funds and programs is fueling regional frustration, and that needs to change. He warned that unless provinces like BC receive a more equal share of funding, especially compared to Ontario and Quebec, calls for separation will only grow louder. There are special programs for Ontario and Quebec that are not available to other provinces, said Eby. When these persist, it gives these opportunists a chance to get on Facebook and say, "Yeah, let's separate from the rest of Canada." It's nonsense, but it feeds that fire. Some areas where the premiers in Western Canada believe Ottawa is being biased are in the immigration funding. Last year, Ottawa gave Quebec $750 million, and the infrastructure funding. Ottawa's Strategic Investment Fund also appears lopsided. Ontario and Quebec reportedly received twice as much funding per capita compared to the other Western provinces. According to Lolene Berdahl, a political science professor at the University of Saskatchewan, she said that Ottawa does have the tools to address this growing discontent. These include reviewing the federal equalization formula and better distributing federal jobs across provinces. She also added that people in the West feel like the deck is stacked against them. Not only that, she also said that Canada's federal structure has long favored Ontario and Quebec, especially in terms of political influence and economic decision-making. This fuels discontent in provinces like Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and BC, where residents often feel like their concerns are overlooked. The hashtag Northwestern Alliance is already trending, and political pundits are warning that this could be the tip of a much larger iceberg. As pressure mounts on the nation's capital, Saskatchewan's Premier Scott Moe didn't mince words, uttering what many in the West have been contemplating. In a powerful address broadcast nationwide, Premier Moe declared the current situation untenable, asserting that Saskatchewan, alongside Alberta, Manitoba, and BC, would no longer tolerate what he described as federal interference and a disregard for the West's unique needs. The speech sent shockwaves through the political establishment, but the surprises didn't end there. In an unprecedented move, the leaders of Alberta, British Columbia, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba reportedly convened a secret meeting. What exactly was discussed behind those closed doors? And what will be Ottawa's next move as the West appears to be on the brink of a unified stand? The nation holds its breath. There have been talks of the Western Premiers uniting to form an alliance that could potentially break Canada, but how true is that? Is it just mere speculation? Or could this be the beginning of a new power force? What is Ottawa's response to all these? The whispers of a full-on Western Republic keep growing louder. Could this be happening? Could Canada be on the verge of splitting apart? According to some, it's now about survival. Alberta, with its already tense relationship with Ottawa over the oil and gas sector, has reportedly reached out to its western neighbors to create a new framework for governance. And the goal? Complete independence from Ottawa. But this is just the beginning. This is a full-on confrontation with Ottawa, and the shocking details are emerging right now. The timing couldn't be worse for Ottawa. With tensions running high over multiple national issues, the Western provinces have been quietly strengthening their bond. Sources close to the situation say these provinces have been coordinating in secret for months, and today they've finally decided to go public. But here is where it gets even more interesting. Alberta says over 40% of residents in the province are ready for a separation from Canada, according to a poll carried out through Nanos Research, and this is the highest so far. And what's even more intriguing is the fact that President Donald Trump is open to lending legitimacy to a unilateral declaration of separation by a Canadian province. And if that wasn't enough, a bombshell just dropped out of Manitoba. A source whispering in the Premier's ear claims top-secret military talks are already underway. Is the West bracing for the unthinkable? If Ottawa slams the door on negotiations and freedom for these provinces, could they go rogue? It now seems like we are staring down the barrel of a potential military showdown between Ottawa and the West. Leaked documents have reportedly sent shockwaves through the Canadian military, with many wondering if the Western provinces have been secretly gearing up for independence by force. This is where it gets quite scary. Shadowy sources are hinting that certain military brass in Western Canada have been quietly moving pieces on the board, strategically positioning forces, especially along the Alberta-BC border. The alleged plan? A so-called non-violent occupation to safeguard their economic lifelines if a federal standoff erupts. All of this tension has now led to the united front of the Western Premiers, and the goal is one. No more will they take the second-hand treatment the federal government has been dishing out. They have made their demands known, and if Ottawa doesn't take action, they'll deliver the final warning. So the million-dollar question, is separation inevitable? With Alberta, BC, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba seemingly locking arms, the future of Canada is hanging precariously in the balance. What do you think would happen next? Leave your comments in the comment section.